Good afternoon. Welcome to the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. It is 3:04 on Wednesday, April 6th. And I'm going to call our meeting to order and read the statement of announcement. A meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of the April 6, 2022 Finance and Audit Committee meeting was distributed April 5th, 2022 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted to the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website, Americans with Disabilities Act. The public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
You get a second? Great. Thanks. The agenda is adopted as written. And the next item on the agenda is the minutes from the March 22nd, 22 Finance and Audit Committee meeting, which are on page 2 of your packet. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from March 22nd?
So moved. Mary Melvers.
Great. Second. Okay, great. All right, minutes are approved unless there are any additional changes to it. No changes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the financial approval and threshold report for April 2022, which is on page 6 of our packet. And Candace, I believe, is going to tell us we don't have anything this month. So, or hi, Gracie.
Candace is on unexpected bereavement leave.
Okay.
And so, yes, she gave this report that there wasn't going to be anything to report this time.
Gotcha. Understand. Okay. So we'll have no items to review that. Again, since today is the first Finance and Audit Committee meeting for Michelle Woodhead, and I meant to mention that at the very beginning.
Yes.
We are happy to have Michelle as part of our Finance and Audit Committee team, and we appreciate Commissioner Miller's service on this committee. He was part of our committee for a while, and now he has transitioned to a different committee. And Michelle Woodhead, who just started as a commissioner for the 5th district, is here today. And I did want to just have Michelle say a few things about herself before we get through the rest of the agenda. So,
hello, happy to be here. I'm Michelle Woodhead. I come to the agency. I have a daughter with spinal cord injury. It's been almost 4 years. She is a quadriplegic full-time wheelchair user. But she's also a freshman at Clemson University, heading up their adaptive sports program. So that's my mom job. And I am a senior tax director for a large corporation that's registered in all the states, and I'm in charge of tax compliance. So.
We're happy to have you as part of this commission and this committee. And you are in the Rock Hill area, in case people listening aren't familiar with the 5th district. So we're happy to have you, and thanks again for your service. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, I was actually just going to say that each month we review for Michelle's information. We review that the agency provides a report on what we call threshold reporting, which is any expenses greater than $200,000, the agency will share that information with the commission to review, to talk about, and sometimes oftentimes to approve. And as we mentioned today, for the April 2022, there were no reports on spending that they needed to bring to us for today. But when we do have that, we have it broken out in several categories, which you can see on page 6. That's the types of categories that they will share information with us to review and then to approve. Sometimes we review just in the committee and approve if it's more of a traditional, let's see, how do we say that, Barry? When it's maintenance, it's not something that needs full commission, but it just needs our committee review. So there'll be times when there's that we look at, and then there'll be times when we talk about things.
It's considered more routine
Yeah,
contracts is
routine,
what
that
it
was-
is whenever we just actually do it ourselves instead of bringing it to
For
the
the full commission to vote on.
I guess that'd be the best word to use.
Yeah, routine. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you as we move from that item on the agenda to the next item, which is the fee-for-service update from Lori Manus.
Good afternoon. So as you'll recall, we actually implemented full fee for service last month on March 1st with a prospective payment and then a full reconciliation at the end of the month based on services provided. That full reconciliation will happen within the next couple of weeks. We have to wait for billing closeout for the month of March. But then there will be a reconciliation. And again, prior to that, we were doing prospective payments, giving them a reconciliation, giving them additional funds if they billed over the prospective payment amount, but holding them harmless for billings under the prospective payment amount. In the month of March, we went to full reconciliation. So for the month of March, they will be paid if they billed over. They will pay us back if they were overpaid. As of April 1st, which was last Friday, we have gone full direct bill with HHS. Providers are able to submit claims from April 1st forward. We did have a small batch of claims that were submitted on Friday. So HHS will accept claim submission every day, but they only adjudicate them like once a week, right? So the claims that were submitted last Friday, there were like 45 of them, I think. All of the claims that were submitted by TheraP were accepted and will pay. So that's really good news. The system worked the way that we hoped that it would. There were a couple of claims submitted via the web tool. Some of them paid, some of them were rejected based on not having an NPI number included in the claim. So we've kind of reminded providers that they need to make sure that they include the NPI number whenever they bill through the web tool. But so far so good. Things seem to be going well. We haven't found any errors in any of the systems at this point, so that's really good news. Like their system seems to be working appropriately. Our, the TheraP system that we are offering to providers seems to be working appropriately. So that's where we are. We are meeting daily with HHS, so we have a daily meeting. There's about 4 of us that get together to talk about any claims that were submitted that don't look right? So that we can kind of get ahead of it and providers aren't waiting until a week and a half later to realize that that things are not gonna adjudicate the way that they need to.
I guess, would you say, what are you hoping to say in a month from now? Like, what in terms of fee for service? Like, would you say, like, we hope in the next month that these things will continue to move smoothly and like, just give me like. are there any,
Absolutely. I
like-
mean, I think ultimately, you know, the first step of it is you want to make sure that providers can submit claims seamlessly and be paid, right? So that's kind of the foundation of it. We need to make sure that that's happening. And then I think there's some time period where the provider's really going to have to become accustomed to the way that they bill and are paid for services. Because in the past, it was a little different. Now they can bill more often, right? So they can get paid more often than they could for some things with DDSN. For other things, they were getting a prospective payment. You know, the budgeting piece of it's going to be a little difficult for them, right? Because they, you know, when you're getting a set amount, it's a little different than getting paid for what actually happens. But we've kind of got lots of things in place. We're trying to make ourselves as available as possible to providers to make sure that if they have questions or if they need help, I mean, we've spent a lot of time even just helping people set up their system, right? What do you need to do? How do you need to accept authorizations? Providers did a ton of work during the month of March to make sure that the system had authorizations in it, that people were assigned to programs, that they would be able to submit the claims. So, you know, I'm just hoping that it continues to be successful as we move forward. I think our role is to make sure that we're there for assistance. And then, you know, long-term, our role is going to be looking at quality, making sure services are being provided the way that they need to. We also have some enhancements that we're going to be working on right behind the initial rollout of the Therapp billing system. So to not get too in the weeds, so that, because I know you guys don't want to hear like all the specifics, but the initial rollout of Therapp, all the billing's done through what they call the attendance module, which basically is a grid. And you go into the grid and you say, the service was provided at this many units on this day for this person, right? So it's kind of a grid system. But there's a lot of work that's documented in Therapp. So the goal is that the work will inform the grid so that there's no data entry. Basically, if you document the work, then you just bill for it. So we're hoping for those enhancements to be available on July 1st. That's a little bit, it's a kind of an aggressive plan, but at this point, that's the date that we're really trying for, because we want to make that system as user-friendly as possible to providers. And again, as a reminder, providers do not have to bill through Therapp. Some of them have chosen not to, which is, you know, okay with us too. They can bill through the web tool, but the web tool is also data entry. So it just requires some administrative time.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for Lori?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Lori. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the financial update. Page 7 of our packet. Nancy.
Good afternoon. On Page 7, 22 spending plan versus actual expenditures. The approved plan was for $851.1 million. Cash expended out of DDSM was $518.4 million. The wash at HHS, which is 105.4, is the net effect of direct bills of 139.6 minus the 34.1 state match. The total expenditures is 623.8. We're currently a little bit under where we should be. So we're 1.71 below where we should be in our expenditures. Now, I do want to point out this is a draft. So at the commission meeting, when this will be accepted, it will be updated. Due to this meeting being a little bit early, we had to run our report before the month end.
When you're saying 1 point, you're saying a percentage of 1.7 or whatever that we're below right now, right?
Below.
right? Have any questions? Anybody else know? Okay. All right. None?
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. The next item, item 8 on our agenda are the cost reports update. Debbie P.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to announce that the fiscal year ending 2018 has been submitted to DHHS last week for the cost report. This currently leaves DDSN with fiscal year 2020 and 2021 left to submit. We've been asked by DHHS to submit fiscal year ending 2021 before we submit fiscal year 2020. Therefore, we currently have 4 people that are working full-time on the examination and the vetting of all of the provider cost reports, which is the most time-consuming piece of our submission. As we continue to work through this process, Tracy has been extremely helpful in assisting us at receiving missing or incorrect data from the providers. The 2021 cost report, barring no catastrophic issues, will be submitted to DHHS by June 30 of this year. Once this is completed, the staff will revert back to the cost reports for fiscal year 20. The plan at this time is that the cost reports will be completed and submitted to DHHS by August 12th of 2022, barring no major issues. Therefore, we are looking at being caught up with the filing of cost reports by the end of August of 2022.
Yes, that
If my staff survives it.
Which would be a small miracle when you consider where we came from. Since they were not reported since 2012 before that. And nobody can give us an explanation as to why, which is fascinating. We still haven't got an explanation. If anybody has one, I'd like to hear it. Go ahead.
All right, well, thank you for that update. We are looking forward to August to have this done, and we appreciate everyone's really hard work to make this happen. I know it's not been easy, and I know people are really going above and beyond to make it happen, so thank you for that and your team. So.
Yeah, we are thankful for those that have fixed this problem. It's just amazing how long it's taken and what work it's taken, but I'm thankful that it was done.
Yeah.
Which might have been one of the reasons it wasn't done. Maybe it was work and somebody didn't want to do it. I don't know.
Okay. The next item then on the agenda is information technology upgrades, which Greg Metz is going to come up and talk to us about today.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we started looking, and I know Seth's going to talk a little bit about some of the regional center improvements and updates. So as we started looking at all of that from a technology standpoint, we're a little bit behind on some of the upgrades. So we have looked at some of the oldest PCs that we have out there in the regional centers, and the manufacturer date was 2014, 2015. So we're talking about, 7 and 8 year old machines that we need to replace, and it's around 150 of those out there that what I think we need to do is get rid of these oldest ones. Our goal is to get to where we can replace 25% of the technology, whether it be laptops or PCs every year. Right now, we're just not there because we've kind of fallen behind. So to get caught up, this may be a little more than 25% of those old PCs. So we're looking at that. Also, with the improvements, we're looking at putting some digital signage in each one of the regional centers. We've already met with Tommy McDaniel and got an idea of, well, not an idea, we've got an exact number of how many monitors we need out in each one of the areas one of the things we're looking at is we're doing a site visit to make sure that we're getting the right size monitor for the right size area. You know, some may need 55, some may need 40. So we're just making sure that we've got that, and we've got some preliminary pricing on that, but we don't have the finalized pricing because until we get those monitors, till we get the right size, you know, that's going to change the price. So that's where we are on that. And for some reason, the Witten Center, their admin conference room, when we did the upgrade for, and it's been several months back, when we did the upgrade for video conferencing, that one got missed. So we've got some quotes there for doing the video conferencing for that. Now they're having to, I believe they have to go across the street to an alternate building to conduct meetings. And so we're working on that to get that going there. And then the last thing that we have is for our remote workforce. We're having to do some upgrades for laptops and things like that for those guys. And so that's from a technology upgrade perspective, that's what I have for today. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
So, is there a number, cost associated with everything you've just run through?
I can give those to you now, or I can provide those to you in an email, whichever you guys would like.
I would imagine that is it over 200,000? Because technically we would have to.
Collectively, if you total everything up, yes, but each individual project, I don't think any of them total over 200,000.
I just was trying to think through if we needed to actually vote on something in this committee requiring approval. And
We
stuff,
don't
but-
today because he doesn't have the actual prices.
Right.
So we have to wait until next month to vote. And if it's over
Right, yeah.
200,000, we do need to vote, but as a commission, but
I didn't know if he was showing us anything on pricing.
technically he doesn't have everything straight on prices yet, so I think it'd be better just to table this
Right,
until next
okay.
meeting.
Okay, in terms of the money side. Okay, I just
So,
wanted to make sure that.
I can provide you the estimated quotes. I just wanted to make sure that we're working really hard and very diligently on getting those things lower. So I guess what I would say at this point right now is that they would be lower than what I could give you today.
Okay, well, we'll let you continue to do your pricing and sourcing and everything like that. I think in general, you know, we're pleased that the regional centers are getting some much needed attention when it comes to IT and technology. I don't think I have any other questions on this. Barry, you have any for this particular topic?
Not really, except to ask, I'm assuming that we would have the same capability for Microsoft Teams and things of that nature whenever they finish with this
Yes, sir.
upgrade, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just thinking that was important for them.
Right.
And interestingly, they don't have that technology as much right now because of the.
So they do have some technology with Teams and you know, with Microsoft Teams and all of the Microsoft 365 products. The problem that we're running into, I guess, with the older PCs that we're putting out in some of these centers is that they're failing. And so, you know, what happens is they fail, then we have to rush out and go take another PC out there. So if you think about it as more of a preventative maintenance type thing to where we're keeping folks up on technology. And if you start thinking about, you know, the capabilities of computers and as they progress and as they age, you know, applications get, you know, more stringent and the technology has to keep up with those. So.
And I'm assuming that technically we would obviously approve this, but I'm also saying But technically, this would also be in the budget for the regional centers, is that correct?
Yes, this is, Dr. Friday, you wanna?
Yeah, so I was, so I think some of this is within existing budgets, but we wanted to provide it as a matter of transparency. If you all, my recommendation would be if you want to share numbers in a not to exceed level, knowing that we know some of them will come down, I would have, my recommendation would be that, if we need to get approval, even though it's within existing budgets, that we do it, because if we need to bring it back next month, then it delays the ability to move this work forward. And we're pretty excited to try to get this moving as quickly as possible for the reasons that he said. We have some security and privacy issues with existing equipment. When it comes to some of the digital display aspects, it's a great communication mechanism to be able to communicate across the team in a consistent way.
Who would be in charge of putting that information on the monitors? Like, is that like facility by facility?
So I
And
think,
follow the executive director, like who would be like putting information up there once they're there? Like who's responsible?
so we're going, we have our new public information officer, PJ Pereira, who's wonderful, and we're really excited that he would be able to lead those efforts in
Okay.
partnership with Tommy McDaniel. So, generally speaking, there would be consistent content across those, but there might be specific content based on which regional center, right?
Yeah.
So if
So they want to recognize a
that
certain
they'll want to
employee
recognize
or
activities,
an employee that's once.
Cause birthdays, working anniversaries, that kind of content, it will vary based on
Right.
where the location. So PJ would be the person who heads up to ensure that the content is accurate,
Yeah.
but he'll be in partnership with Tommy McDaniel and at times Liz Lamond, who with the HR team, they'll
Yeah.
have access to anniversary content and
All right. Well, I don't think we need any more information for today, but I thank you for the update on what you're working on and what you guys are going to be doing in the
If
regional
you guys
centers.
need anything further, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, the next item on the agenda are the regional center improvement updates from Seth Leslie.
Good afternoon. So for the regional center improvement updates, I'm going to briefly cover, we've developed a proactive budget to handle some of the regional center needs as far as some of the aesthetic and beautification type projects. The intent here is a budget where we can quickly allocate funds to handle some of these projects. Like I mentioned, these projects are more aesthetic driven to enhance or revitalize occupied spaces and living conditions. From January through March, since we've kind of been developing these projects, we have several currently underway or about to kick off. And the objective, for us for the end of through this fiscal year is to try to get into contract or obligate the funds by the end of the fiscal year, with the hopes of being able to use this budget moving forward to develop similar projects to help with campus improvements.
Right.
So,
Okay. Would you say that we're going to be working on several at a time? Or is it going to be like one first and one second? Like,
no, so it will be several at a time.
Okay.
Each center was allocated 200,000 this first go around, and Salibi 50,000. And the goal is to just quickly develop and push these projects out. So, we have 2 to 3 projects either currently underway or about to kick off at each of the regional centers. And the goal is to just kind of, as we keep getting needs from the regional centers, to keep pushing these projects out.
okay. All right. Any questions for Seth? Seth.
I don't have a list of the projects. What is the?
So if you'd like me to,
Generally.
yeah, I can give you a brief rundown of some of the ones we've
Yeah,
worked on.
give me a few, three if you would.
Yeah. So at Coastal Center, we have a staff bathroom renovation and a painting project, interior and exterior. A lot of the common spaces, not going into the actual dorm rooms, but any common rooms or restrooms or exterior trim work, just windows, storefronts, doors. PD, we have a similar an interior painting project and the campus boundary fencing project. They expressed the need to just, their fences are old and worn and they'd like new fences put in. Witten Center, we have siding replacements, the fascia and some of the siding is in, poor condition. And we also have underway administration building ramp replacement and the old pool infill. And then at Salibi, there's a similar painting project underway. So just projects that we can develop quickly to help just kind of revitalize kind of some of the buildings and the dorms on campus.
All right, well, I appreciate the update. I don't think I have any other questions.
But I did want to say, I don't mean to go back on another part of the agenda, but I don't think that, I don't imagine, and I shouldn't say this, I don't think that I would be opposed if there was something that we need, that the computer technology, IT situation could bring to us at the actual meeting coming up to keep from delay. And I don't think anybody in here would be opposed to evaluating that at that time, would you?
Good. Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to go backwards, but I just wanted to.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that point, Barry. Okay, so the next item that Seth is going to talk about are the DDSN owned properties.
Yes, so from an engineering perspective, DDSN Engineering is actively developing a comprehensive plan to address some of these deferred maintenance items for the properties as per the proviso 36.6. We conducted some field assessments and created a survey during the fall of last year where we feel we've identified enough to go ahead and move forward with initiating some maintenance and improvement projects for some of these properties.
Okay, I know that this is a big priority. We've want to move as quickly as we can on doing these upgrades and the maintenance issues that are kind of outstanding. I know we want to advance that. So I appreciate the update on that. Anybody have any questions?
Most of these improvements are exterior. Would that be right? Like roofs and things of that nature?
So there's exterior, there's HVAC, some of the systems that, DDSN has covered, some that are, maybe through the previous directive that were more on the provider networks to cover. But yeah, it'll be a kind of a comprehensive sort of plan to just improve the maintenance.
And you're doing it for a house and not
Yeah.
county or anything like
Yeah, yeah. So when we conducted the survey, we went out and did each house in all the counties. So in our breakdown of kind of the issues we've identified in some of our cost estimates, it is by house per county. So yeah, we can begin to prioritize a list as far as where to start implementing some of these projects.
Thank you. Moving on.
All right. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda, item 12, from our CFO Tracy Hunt. The first item are the procedures engagement from state auditors. Tracy.
Good afternoon, everybody. When we reached out to the state auditors for the next step on what we wanted to do to get like an outside independent review, they came back and said, well, the first step you probably need to do is have more of an engaging process with just the state auditor's office, and then let's go from there. And so what we did is we worked with them for a scope of what we were looking for. And just recently, yesterday, It looks like that's approved and they're gonna start setting up some dates. And those type of things that we were talking to them about is trying to pull like procurement disbursements and make sure that we have supporting documentation as an example. Look at our reporting and our year-end packages to make sure that all of them are in compliance and that we've submitted everything in accordance to, policy. Also looking at our different revenue accounts and making sure that things are labeled correctly, coded correctly, and that each one of those, anything on the revenue side was recorded as well as how we're reporting it on the budget side. And they want to make sure that that meshes up well with best practices, of course, and how our accounting of everything. But we did get a little bit more specific with wanting some procurement and accounts payable and procurement card transactions, and they're going to look into those type of things to give us, a review of if we're handling everything like we should, which we're hoping for, or if there's something that we can do a little bit differently that, to make things the best that they can be. Okay, so do you have any questions about the engagement from the state auditor's office?
No, I know, it's gonna be some steps to go through each of these things. And so, I think at one point we said, maybe our last meeting, that, when we get to a point of, determining the scope of the audit, we might price out if there's any expense to the agency to
Correct.
bring in. Yeah.
We did, Commissioner, and right now, this is a free service, thank goodness that the state offers that. But they will recommend the next step if we need to do that. And they'll also recommend what we need to do. So I like both of those things. I was glad that they walked me through this process with saying, let's do this step first, and then we'll go from there. And they will have a report for you guys, when they're completed, or for all of us, that we can go through together and see what those next steps that they're recommending that we do. And we can go from there.
Did they give you an idea on the timing of that report? Like, is it gonna take them a few months, 6 months, or?
I think when we talked to them initially, it's gonna be how quick we can get the things back to them. But we were looking at 6 months as a starting point. That's my goal. But I have to wait on them to give the dates of when they're coming. So I don't want to say 6 months and then them not even come, here until July 1st, because it is closeout for the state. So I was thinking that nobody's going to come and do anything till July, and they could surprise me, but usually this time of year, they wait till the new year to do anything because they have their own closeout processes going on. But they could, and I will keep y'all, that's something I will keep on the agenda if that's okay, just to give you updates on where we are. Okay. Barry, you have any questions or thoughts?
I think there'll be plenty of questions down the road, but I don't think we have any right now.
I agree. Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Next, the financial management strengthening project for boards. We are still in the phase of coming up with the summary and the details of what we're trying to see about getting a quote from an outside contractor on the state list. And so we actually had a meeting that got postponed. It happened, how meetings come up, and we're meeting tomorrow. So we feel like we have a really good description of what is needed, but we had to get a little bit more specific based on the history and some things that people have told us, that the trainings that we've done in the past that were internal trainings, we wanted to try to get something a little bit more centered into being more specific than what had been done before. And so we're drafting that up, and then I'm hoping at the next meeting you'll have that information, as well as somebody, on that state list that submitted back a quote. for us to have an idea of, it'll cost this much to go to one board or one provider and give assistance if this is something that we want to do or offer moving forward.
So when it says down here strengthening project, you're really meaning training project, right? That's what we're
Yes,
talking about.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. As long as I understand. I just want to
Positive,
make sure. That's what we were
words.
talking about. I just want to make sure we hadn't pivoted and I didn't know anything about it. Go ahead, we're fine.
That's right. This training is some strong, hopefully strong training, that we,
Yeah,
want to make available and want to, get buy-in
strongly
By
encouraged to
them.
say the least.
to do.
Would that be?
So,
yeah.
um,
Well said.
yeah, okay. All right.
And then we talked a minute ago, Seth did a great job of just bringing up the proviso, but what I wanted to mention in my report is that they have done so much work and have already just got an estimate of what it was looking like to get the state-owned facilities to be at a point where we can say, hey, they are maintained. Now, we do not have a list of how long that's going to take because of different factors with ordering stuff, the HVAC systems, the fire system, or the sprinklers. That's one thing that we know is going to be a hurdle. But it has gone anywhere between 2.7 to 3 million is where the range is looking to get these type of facilities up to date. And we just wanted to make y'all aware. When I say up to date, I don't want to say up to date. We want to be able to maintain them to a place that the proviso is asking us to do. And that's just us identifying from that survey.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that if we go out there and there might be something that has changed since the last time that they've gone out there. Unfortunately, a lot of these facilities are older. And so things at facilities that are older tend to have problems, occur on daily. So we could have things added to that list. But today it was a big thing to let you guys know where we stand with following that proviso and making sure that we're compliant with it. And then your next question is going to be, well, what are we going to do with the money? What funds are we going to use for that? And I think that our best approach is we have to start the project, but trying to get funding in our budget while we're having to do this is a big priority to ask for recurring funding moving forward. Dr. Fry, do you want to add anything to that? Or I just want to make sure I'm clarifying because my sinuses have really been revved up these past few weeks.
Michelle, did you say Michelle?
Dr. Fry, yeah, I just want to make sure she didn't have anything else.
Nothing? Okay,
Okay.
you said no. Okay.
No, I think that until we would be successful in getting such recurring funding to allow us to start doing this work immediately, we can dip into some of those FMAP dollars,
Yes.
The 6.2% FMAP dollars. But as Tracy was describing, the number is pretty significant. So it would be something that through the legislative subcommittee, we would recommend that BDSN seek some recurring dollars if we're going to continue to have this obligation.
Which was written into a proviso, right?
Yes.
And when was the last time that proviso was like approved or signed into law or whatever?
The date on the proviso was July 1st of 2021, I believe, was when the legislative session and that proviso was issued.
So when that proviso was approved, was there immediately any money that we attached to that proviso
No.
to do these things? I'm assuming no, because you're saying we need to ask for money, right?
No, and I'm, my recommendation is moving forward that we would seek some recurring dollars based on projections. But I think that my strong recommendation is that we immediately begin to start doing these repairs and maintenance yeah, addressing these maintenance issues
Yeah.
and utilizing some of the 6.2% FMAP dollars.
And so that was one of the, I guess, really important things we wanted to talk with you guys about today and let y'all know that that's the direction that we're moving forward to be in compliance.
Yes.
And make sure you didn't have any questions with, the things that are gonna come up in the future that that we're having to maintain these facilities.
Right. Yeah, I think all of us are pretty clear on what we need to be doing, what the agency is responsible to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And we, I think, appreciate the providers' patience in allowing us to evaluate their needs, document their needs from a maintenance standpoint. And so hopefully we are quickly going to be able to make good on those needs and do the work.
Sure, and I look forward to giving y'all updates in the future too on, how far we've come with being able to do some of the things through what funding we have and hopefully what funding we get. So,
Of these state-owned facilities, how many people actually, or how many providers actually use these facilities for residential? Would it be half of them?
No, it's 27 of the 38.
27?
As far as I believe it's 27 of the 38, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have that in front of me.
Are there more than 38?
Well, 39 providers.
I thought there were-
There's 39. The only ones that benefit, I can go over this for an hour, but I won't. The only ones that benefit from it are county providers that hadn't had a house since 1990. None of these have been dealt with since, we haven't done it this way since 1990 or around the early 90s. So there's only, I'm almost sure it's 27. I didn't look at the number before I came in here.
right.
And I'm almost sure it's 27 of the 38 county providers is all that benefit from this situation.
Right, but of the properties, the actual properties, are they, I know they're a mix of use. So
In full that are not residences.
the majority of them are residential. They have residents living in them. Right,
I think there's 6 of the ones that are not residences, and the rest of them are
Few
residents.
day programs and I think one administration building.
so it's a combination of day and then administrative, but primarily residential. And are all of these residential properties being utilized? Like people live in them today?
I believe so,
yes.
Okay, like, just curious, okay.
Yeah. There were.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thanks for that level of detail and the update. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, we are through our agenda. Our next meeting is May 4th, and we'll be at a 1 o'clock time due to a conflict instead of our 3 o'clock time that we try to do each month. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Before I do adjourn, let me say that I have not changed my voice, and I'm not taking anything to change my voice. I've changed it because I've had a horrible cold. So I'm sorry for those that have not been able to hear me properly today, but I believe that I'm on the other end of this thing and that I will be done in the next couple of days. So just to let you know, my voice will return, I hope. If not, I'll be going to an ear, nose, and throat specialist immediately. Because I don't like my voice like it is, and I'm sure nobody else does either. So,
Well, thank you for that.
but anyway, I'm here and
Thank
I'm
you for-
fine. So
for
just
that
to let you know,
clarity.
I'm not done.
It's surprisingly pretty clear, Mary. I don't know why you think it sounds that different.
Well, it's
Maybe.
muffled, and I don't like muffled. So.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
Well, you
moving on.
still have a good voice though, and it
Well, yeah, it's still a strong one. I don't have a
projects,
weak
so,
one. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
we
true.
appreciate for that update.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved, ma'am.
All right, so we are adjourning at 3:53.